Hello. There, just yawn as we start.
I'm sorry, I'm tired.
Welcome to We're Trying a Podcast. My name's Aurora,
My name is B.
and that's it.
That's it. That's the podcast. Goodbye. So we have a bunch of updates for y'all.
Oh my goodness.
2 weeks ago, there was not a new episode that was posted because Aurora's internet was not the greatest.
My internet stopped working for 3 days. I had like no internet for about 3 days, which was great.
Hopefully it'll happen less.
Yeah. I mean, thus far, it's only cut out twice since we got the new router, which is, I know it sounds like a lot, but for us, that's not a lot. On the Road happened. You can go watch our cabaret. It will be up until the end of this month, May 2021. You can donate to our company, The Flare Productions, at paypal.me/The Flare Productions, or you can find us on a Patreon and support us. It's a silly little cabaret. It's we had a lot of things go wrong in the making of that, so we had to like regroup and try new things, and not everything worked out how we wanted it to. Aside from like the technical difficulties, the show didn't turn out exactly how we wanted it, but like for something that we put together in about a week because of all these setbacks and people ghosting us, like not bad. It's not bad.
I think we handled it as professionally as we could.
Yeah, exactly. I made a vlog from the weekend, and it's mostly just clips of me going, I'm so stressed. And in the clip that I filmed today that's gonna like end the vlog, I was like, hey, don't ghost people a week before the cabaret. How about that? How about send in your material?
Literally, it's not that difficult.
I don't know. It was weird. Big news we can talk about here, because despite not everyone knowing yet, by the time this goes up, everyone will know. B's got a little promotion going on. B's been promoted by the Flare, aka me. Amidst all the chaos, B was the one who kept like the level-headedness out of everybody, and I was very, very impressed. And as I was crumbling, I was like, oh, I need a helping hand. And I was doing some research, and I was like, you know what every company has that we don't have? An associate artistic director. And I went, B would be good at that, because B keeps a level head and is very, very good at organization. So I promoted B. It's cool talking about it because we're the only ones who know up until now. And like when this goes up, everyone will know.
Yeah. Which is exciting and nerve-wracking, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I've been like petrified over the past couple days. As soon as like the meeting, like the promotion was given, and you're like, we'll tell everyone at the meeting on Tuesday, I was like, but yeah, I'm super excited. This is gonna be me kind of rambling. After you talked about your 5-year plan a couple days ago, I was like, I'm going to make a 5-year plan. In the 5th year of my plan, one of the last things I wanted to do was open up my own theater company, or, run a theater company or be within a theater company, like, I guess one of the higher ups in it, to kind of do what the Flare's doing. And also, once we can be in person, work with people with special needs. And like half that's kind of done now.
Isn't it funny how life works?
That was literally like after I got out of school, I was going to start like working towards that, or like bringing that towards the Flare and stuff. And now I can do that, which is crazy.
It's going to be cool. I'm very happy then that is definitely something that you were planning on doing anyway.
Yeah. Another not so fun update there's 2 not so fun updates for me. 1, I moved.
Yay.
There's not a nice background yet. I'm working on it. I gotta figure that out because I've been here for not long, but I can't even go out and get decorations right now. Can't even do curbside pickup. Y'all want to know why? So, coworkers of mine tested positive for COVID-19. and I was working close with them, like side by side with them. So I was sent home from work immediately once we found out that she tested positive. Came home, I booked a COVID test right away. I had it for 9 a.m. the next morning. So I went the next morning, Saturday. I found it on Friday. Saturday, I went and got my COVID test at 9 a.m. I don't feel any symptoms. I was feeling like exhaustion, but like your pal over here is almost close to their time of the month. So like
That would do it.
that's normal. And like headaches, but I have chronic migraines, so that explains it. They've actually stopped a lot since I've been cutting gluten out of my diet. But yesterday I thought because they told me starting like the next day. So yesterday I could start checking online to see what my results were. My results came back negative.
Yay.
I still have to stay home for the rest of my 14-day period. If I start feeling any more symptoms or if anything starts acting a bit funny, I have to go back and get another test done and then isolate for another 14 days.
But at least you're getting paid through all of it.
Yes, my work is paying all of us. There's a group of, I believe, 6 of us that are all at home right now. And that's not including people who have tested positive.
Oh my God. The store must be so understaffed.
Oh, yeah. We've had to change our hours from like 9 a.m. or like 6 a.m. when we open to like 3 p.m. That is why I was going to say that's why I don't look like absolute crap like I have the past couple weeks, but I'm literally wearing like a beanie and a hoodie, a crew neck, not a hoodie, because I'm cold.
Like crap.
I have my whole comforter. There's ink stains on it because I dropped a pen on here that exploded. But I'm freezing in my house.
It's funny you're freezing because I am boiling hot right now. I'm in a tank top that has cutouts in it and I'm still too hot.
I would say I'm driving to Rory's right now, but I literally can't. Like mandated by the government, I have to stay home.
Yeah.
I think that's all the updates we've had to
I think
do.
so. It's it honestly it feels like a lot, but saying it out loud doesn't sound like a lot anymore. Probably just because it's been like 2-3 weeks of this.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
So what are we talking about today?
I believe we're talking about writing.
Writing.
It's such a broad general topic, but
Why not? It's something that we both do and are passionate about. So I feel like it's a good thing for us to talk about. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
so I guess we could both kind of say how we got started with writing. You go first because yours is a lot more interesting than mine.
I genuinely don't remember how I started writing. I
Never
don't
mind
remember.
then.
No, like I have a story, but I don't remember like the spark. I don't remember. I remember specifically when I was 11 or 12. No, I must have been. Yeah, I must have been 11 or 12. Opening up our family laptop in my bed. My brother was sick that day, and I opened up my laptop and went online and found a writing website and created an account and just started writing. And I think I wrote like that for this is how crazy I am. I was 11 years old that very 12 years old that very first day that I opened this account. I think it was like 6:30 at night. I wrote like 2,000 words in one night because I'm crazy. And the only feedback I remember ever getting on that first piece that I posted was, "This is too long," which has been the most consistent feedback in my life. Anyway, so I wrote like stories recreationally online for a couple of years. And then when I was in grade 11, because I took grade 11 English first semester, I was able to take a writing course that is a grade 12 course in my second semester, grade 11. So I took this writing course, which was taught by one of my all time favorite teachers, period. And honest to God, that course changed my life. It's the only course I've ever taken about writing, but the teacher was so passionate about storytelling, and so much of like the advice that I give people today comes from her. Things like, everybody has at least one story in them. You have to tell your story. My literal life motto of "Be fearless and never apologize" comes from her. Um, we did a lot of poetry in that class, which was good because I was an anxious little bean. So it was nice to like use poetry and poetic ways to get my emotions out. And then we did some short story writing, which was fun. And then we had somebody come in who taught us a week of screenwriting. And our project at the end of that was to turn in a 3-page scene. That was it. And I was like, oh man, what am I going to write? And I went home and I was like, Mom, I don't know what to write, but I really want to write something good. Mom was like, I don't know. So we put on a movie. And as I was watching the movie, I was like, I'm going to take inspiration from this movie. And that movie was called Pirate Radio. And it was about in England in the 1960s, a lot of the rock and roll radio stations were forced to broadcast from the ocean because it was like deemed illegal to broadcast rock music in England because it was like looked down upon. And I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And I developed this scene between these two very different characters from different sides of the world in the 1960s. It was about music, and my 3-page scene was 8 pages long. And I turned it in with about 30 pages of backstory because I'm crazy. And my teacher pulled me aside and said, this is really good. You need to keep writing this. And when you finish writing it, I want to see it. And I was like, oh, okay. And that sort of is what sparked my writing bug. Having someone say, this is really good, keep writing this. I want to see what you do with it after. I was like, okay, I can do that. And then I spent the next year and a half working nonstop on what became a 12-episode series called The Love You Make, which then, spiraled more and more writing from there. Just this idea of somebody wants to see this. Somebody's interested in the random stories inside my head. So that's how I started writing.
Yeah. I loved that story.
Hi, Miss McLeod. She doesn't listen to this, but when the show premiered, because we did a reading of the show on YouTube with my company, The Flare, our company, The Flare.
Oh, that was weird.
What?
He's saying our company.
Well, we both work for it.
Yeah, it's just, I'll explain later.
I emailed her the day before the show premiered, and I was like, hi, I don't know if you remember me, but this little show that this little scene that I wrote in your class, you told me to let you know when it was done so you could read it. Well, it's done, mostly, and it's going to be on YouTube, and I just wanted to let you know. And she emailed me back saying, Aurora, of course, I remember you. And just talking about how proud of me she was. And I was like, and then she was like, all the drama teachers here at school are talking about how all the kids should be creating their own work and like creating companies and everything. And you're doing that. And I can't wait to talk to all of them about this. And I was like, Anyway, I haven't heard from anybody from that school since, but still, I'm happy that I was able to like kind of follow through with that promise.
Well, I love how you were like, my story's not going to be that great either. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I started writing in elementary school. I wrote fanfic.
Yeah, me too.
I wrote fanfic in elementary school and even spanning a little bit into high school. Then I started, I was a competitive dancer and then moved from competing in dance to performing in musical theater. Through that, I got some connections to a short film company, and I was in a couple of their short films. And from there on out, it always interested me, scripts. I was just like, writing scripts are cool, and I write stories. And, I always toyed around with that idea and was like, that'll never happen. But there's a festival I believe it's all across Ontario, the Sears Drama Festival.
Yeah.
Well, now it's
something else.
It's something else, but at the time it was the Sears Drama Festival. And then Sears went bankrupt.
Thanks, Sears.
I think it's the Ontario Drama Festival now.
Something like that, yeah.
My final year, I was not going to be acting in it. I was going to be directing. And me and the stage manager and the assistant stage manager just couldn't find a script that we liked or that we felt like we could do good stuff with. We were always just like, it's like kind of there, but not really, or like this is not at all a story we want to tell. And so the teacher, like the drama teacher at our school, was like, well, what kind of story do you see? And I went off and I explained this whole storyline, this plot that I kind of see playing out. And I explained like full in and out, this whole thing. And the stage manager, assistant stage manager, and the teacher like, write it. And I was like, huh? They were like, you should write it. And I was like, no, I'm not a writer. And I remember my drama teacher said, you're not a writer yet, but you should write it. So I wrote the script. At the time, it was called Lifeline. That'll come back into play later. That whole year was just like not the greatest. I started that year with like 4 friends and ended it with basically every person in my grade not liking me. No clue why. I genuinely have no idea why. I kind of know why. Homophobia. I wasn't out, but people suspected things, and so they were mean to me. But after we had put on that production, I had so many negative memories attached to that script and that story and just everything in general. So I was like, I'm never writing again. And I didn't write until I got into college. Second semester, first year, we had to do something called a solo scene, and we had to write it ourselves. And I came up with this whole plot line of like it had to do with like the mafia. And in my brain, it was like the opening scene to a whole play. And I wrote it. I handed it in to my teacher and we did the scenes. And after that class, she called me over and was like, you need to keep working on this story. You like anything, write literally anything. Just you, I think you can be a great writer. And I was just like, oh, still didn't write. Still, I stared at that one scene that I wrote and I was like, I got nothing. I still have that scene somewhere in my Google Drive. I could probably pull it up somewhere. And then going into second year, this person that I know started a theater company. Um, the Flame.
That
Yeah,
sounds good.
yeah, that sounds good enough. I don't know, kind of weird. But they were putting on a virtual reading of a script called The Love You Make.
Oh, no.
Script called The Love You Make. Yeah, so audition for that, was cast in that. Super cool, amazing opportunity. And then I kind of just fell back in love with the idea of creating stories. And I was like, I have stories to tell. And I was sitting at like in my place, my old place, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna write. And I don't care if it's good or bad. I'm gonna write. And I was like, what do I want to write about? And the only thing that came into my head was the script I wrote in high school. So I pulled it up. I read through it. Terrible. Oh, so bad. You know that like show don't tell? Mm-mm. It was all tell. It was all tell.
Hilarious.
And I was like, okay. So I took the idea of that and now I've worked it into a full movie.
Yay.
And it should be done probably by the end of next month.
Yay.
Which is like wild. But yeah, that and now like Aurora and we've done I help you with The Love You Make now. Mm-hmm. We are both working on season 2. Which we have not worked on in a while because in a couple months. I've been very busy.
Yeah, things have gotten a little crazy. But it's okay. There's no rush. There's no rush.
Yeah.
It took me 5 years to do the first season. There's no rush.
We did a 24-hour playwriting contest, mm-hmm. which was super cool.
We lost, but you know.
It was so fun though. Like it was an amazing experience. Yeah. Like it was a rush. I don't know if you felt that, but I was like, this is a rush. I had so much adrenaline and I was just like basically being stuck at my desk and being forced to write a story. I was like, this is amazing. That I felt like I was on drugs. I was like
stressed the whole time.
Yeah, because it was Jamie's birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
was Jamie's birthday,
like,
and we're writing. We almost didn't do it because I was like sad or something. And then I was like, let's try and do it. If we get it in, we get it in. If we don't, we don't. And then we got it in with like an hour to spare.
Yeah. Oh, it was nuts.
It's wild. I will never forget that experience. And I think we should do it every year.
We could try for sure. Maybe we don't do comedy next time. Maybe that was our downfall.
Yeah. but also it's a good script. I like
It's
it.
funny. It's very funny.
It could offend a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's probably why we weren't even they probably looked at it and went, we can't do this. We just physically cannot do this. Which is fair. Which is super fair.
I don't think anybody other than us knows the story.
I don't think we should say it on the podcast because again, might offend some people.
Might offend a lot of people. It's nothing that we can't like make jokes about.
Yes, yeah, it's like, all like within our wheelhouses, you know?
Yeah. Like if anything, it's mostly stereotypes about ourselves.
Yes.
Feel like we should solidify that.
Yeah.
When saying we could offend a lot of people, it's
stereotypes about ourselves and also picking fun at
organized religion.
Organized religion, yeah. Yes. And that's where we'll stop that conversation.
Yep. What are some of your favorite things that you've written?
See, there's nothing I've written that I absolutely hate. There are
like things... a top 3.
I don't see, this is the thing. I don't know. Like every time I write something, it is what I become attached to. So like when I was working on The Love You Make, I was so attached to it completely. When I moved on from that to focus on the Baroness, I was like, it's the Baroness or nothing. Like, I don't care about anything else. And then when I stopped focusing on the Baroness and started focusing again on the good guys, now I'm just like, I don't want to go back and touch anything. I'm doing the good guys now. So it's hard for me to pick a favorite because it's so specific to what I'm working on at the moment. But I guess like those, because those 3 are the ones that I'm focusing on right now, I guess it would be those 3 right now.
So out of those 3, what is some of your favorite things about each piece?
Oh my goodness.
It can literally be like 50,000 things per piece. But just what are things about it that you're like, I love this in it. I love this in it. I love this in it.
Okay, I'll start with The Love You Make because it's the one that people actually know. What I love the most, I think, about The Love You Make is that it's challenged me to think beyond my own lens. It, as one of the first things that I really wrote and evolving over 5 years, it sort of evolved with me. So like who I was when I first wrote the piece is very evident. And then when you read the scripts 5 years later, I think you can see how I've developed as a person, and how it sort of challenged me to research and think outside of my normal realm of knowledge and possibility and opinion. And yeah, and it also brought me closer to a lot of wonderful people, which I appreciate as well. Favorite part of The Good Guys is it kind of established me as a writer. It kind of, as soon as like everybody at school knew Aurora wrote a musical, suddenly it was like Aurora's a writer. I actually had a teacher turn to me and be like, well, now that you're writing and not acting, and I was like, that's just not true, but okay. Yeah.
Fun fact, a person can do more than one thing.
Anyway, yeah, it kind of established me and was sort of the thing that taught me the most about storytelling, because I was using other music, like other people's music, to sort of come up with the idea for the story. And the more I wrote it, the more I was like, I don't want it to be about this particular musician. I don't want it to be recognizable as that. So I had to do a bunch of, edits and edits and edits and edits. We're on draft 11 currently. But trial and error with that show taught me so much about writing. And then I think what I love the most about the Baroness is that it has inspired me to try a lot of things outside of my comfort zone. I developed that piece while I was working with a writing collective through Mrs. Productions, which is something I've never done before. And I am not the most trustworthy writer, in so much that like I don't trust every single person's opinion on my writing. There are very few people that I trust when it comes to that sort of thing. So it really put me in a position where I just like was kind of like on edge a lot. Not that I like hated people's feedback ever, but just like I was always like, I don't know, like who do I trust? Mysterious, you know? So it put me a little bit out of my comfort zone, but also like challenged what I knew I was capable of, because I decided I went into the project with one piece and I was like, ooh, this piece isn't resonating with me, but it sort of is in line with what I would usually write. I don't know what to do. And then I was like, no, this is the opportunity to try something else because I'm getting consistent feedback. So I tried my hand at fantasy and turned out pretty well. So I think my favorite part of that is the challenges that it presented to me and learning how to try new things, you know, without fear. So there you go.
I mean, I can't really say my favorite thing about the things I've written because so many of them are in the works right now.
Yeah.
Like, I have about 16 different projects that I am working on that are like only one page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of literally nothingness, but they sit there because sometimes I add a line or two, and I'm like,
Exactly.
maybe one day I know for the Baroness, I remember when you were like, I had this idea for a musical about witchcraft, and I finished it in one day, like the first draft of it, and I was like,
okay, I've never done that before. I've never finished something in a day. I've never done that before. That was weird. Usually it takes like a week at least to churn out a first draft for me.
it was, I literally in my brain, I was like, here I am. Here I am. I have a 252-page movie script. And I was like, after this round of edits, I'll be able to send it in for Collaboration Corner. And then I went through it and I was like, after this round of edits, I get. And then I sat there for a bit after I finished it and I was like, fuck it. Okay, after this round of edits.
Well, isn't that always the way though? Like, I know I've said this to you before, but I'll say it here on the pod. So much of being a writer is being an editor. Like, there is no good writer, there are good editors. I think we all have to be good editors to churn out good stories. If you're not a good editor, you're not going to be considered a good writer. Editing is such a major part of it, but so is letting go, you know? You've got to be an editor, but you've also got to be able to let go, which is the most terrifying part because then you're like, oh, and it's no longer mine, you know? Doing that thing where you take it and you go, this is no longer mine, this is yours, I think is the scariest part of writing. Like, letting people read it, okay, that's a little scary. Getting feedback, okay, a little scary. But physically going, this was in my head and my heart for so long, and now you get to see it and be it, that's terrifying.
I think that's why I keep going back and doing all the edits too, because I'm like, this is the first like big thing I've written on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Like I helped you write the last couple episodes of The Love You Make. We're working on season 2, but this is the first thing I've written on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so my brain's like,
Yeah.
and I've had to strip away the thought of it needs to be perfect before anybody it can be read aloud. But like it's not like it's getting filmed professionally. It's a workshop.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so I can hear it being spoken and hear it being said and get people's opinions on it and, you know, hear other voices rather than just my own, changing how my voice sounds a little bit
Mm-hmm.
for each character.
Yeah.
It's more than that. So I kind of just need to be like, okay, I need to actually set my foot down, and when I finish a round of edits, be like, okay, done.
Well, here's the thing. After a while, you kind of know it's time because there's only so much you can do before you're like, I don't know where to go with this. And when you don't know where to go with it to edit it, that's when you know it needs another pair of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, whenever I text you guys out of the blue and go, I need somebody to read this, it's sometimes because I'm stuck, but mostly it's because I'm at that point where I'm like, I physically cannot look at this as a writer and see what needs to be fixed. I need somebody else to. And that's like, you just kind of get to that point and you know. So, like, if you haven't reached that point yet, keep editing. Because if you can keep editing, keep editing. I don't know if that's good advice, but that's my advice.
No, it makes sense. It does make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate any advice as someone who has not been officially, like, consistently writing for even a full year yet.
It takes time. But honestly, considering you haven't been writing for a full year consecutively, especially in such a long time, you're quite good for that.
It's the fanfic I wrote in elementary school.
Yeah, of course.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
What did you write fanfic about? Was it Harry Potter?
No. This little musical called The Book of Mormon. I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about it, honestly.
Wait.
I don't think anyone in my family even knows I wrote Book of Mormon fan fiction. Yeah.
Who was it, like YN and
no,
Elder Price, or
no, it was characters from the yeah.
Do you remember the storyline? Can you give me a brief synopsis? She remembers the storyline.
Of course I do. Oh my god.
For those who aren't watching, I asked that and immediately Aurora covered the webcam. I need to get one of those things.
Yeah, they're really helpful because I am terrified for my life at all points in time.
Same.
Briefly, what it was about was Elder Price and Elder McKinley.
Why is that? I was like, it's probably something with Elder McKinley.
Of course it is. I'm obsessed with that character.
I love Elder McKinley.
I always wanted to play a gender swapped Elder Price, but like honestly, honest to God, up until recently, one of my dream roles was always gender swapped Elder Price.
Okay, I would love to do like a miscast thing with the Flare. I've always wanted to be a gender bent Elder Cunningham.
No!
You and me, but mostly me.
Oh no, yes. Here's a bunch of gender bent roles I like to play. Elder Price, Aurora in Les Mis. I would love to play Aurora. That's how you pronounce it. Is Aurora. Thank you very much.
Aurora.
Conter. Things like that.
I don't speak Francais.
I only know how to pronounce it because I love the Barricade Boys from Les Mis.
Because you wrote Les Mis fanfic, right?
I did not. I read it. I did not write it.
People wrote fanfic about the French Revolution.
Yes, specifically about the Barricade Boys. I remember being in, what grade was I in? 10 or 11, and we had a benefit concert at school, and they put together a little choir who was going to be singing songs in between all the other performances, and I was part of this choir. One of the songs we sang was One Day More, and I was put in the little section that did the Barricade Boys thing, and I turned to everybody and I was like, okay, so which Barricade Boy are you all? And they all went, what? And I gave everybody a character and then went, and I will play the drunk one. Thank you. That's who I was in high school.
I love that. I love that for you.
So when I introduce myself to people as Rachel Berry,
that's how actually Aurora introduced herself to me.
Yeah.
It was orientation, first year. Technically first day because it's fucking orientation.
Yeah.
And going around with the third years.
In front of the teachers, wasn't it?
In front of the teachers. In front of the entire faculty. And you were like, I'm Aurora. I'm president of Musical Theater Council. I'm from this place. I am Rachel Berry in the flesh. If any of you touch the Sondheim book in the library, I will end you. And I was like, I like her.
I remember saying the Rachel thing and seeing everybody around me laugh and all my classmates be like everyone in my year go, oh my God. And then Melissa, our jazz teacher beside me, just like keel over with laughter, and all the other teachers were like, what? And she was just dying laughing.
I love Melissa.
Thank you so much. But she knows it's true.
Because the Sondheim part literally just ended me. I don't
even remember saying that part, but I totally buy it. I totally buy it.
You definitely said it. And you were like dead. You're like, yeah, if any of you touch the Sondheim book in the library, I will end you.
I remember turning to somebody before all that going, I'm going to say something silly. And they were like, okay. And then I said that.
You said something silly.
Yeah, very silly. I established myself as something I'm not, which is, well, I guess I am kind of a diva. Never mind.
It's the Leo energy.
It's the Leo energy.
I love how we got from writing to fanfic.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Writing fanfic, Book of Mormon fanfic, miscast. You are Rachel Berry.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, y'all.
Welcome to the podcast. We are trying to stay on topic, and it is not working.
Not working. This is what you signed up for when you have us do a podcast together.
Yeah, exactly.
I had so much fanfic I wrote when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Like so much. I wrote Hunger Games fanfic, of course. This one's kind of embarrassing. MagCon boys. Do you remember MagCon?
No.
It was like Cameron Dallas, Nash Greer, Hayes Greer, Shawn Mendes did MagCon, Aaron Carter.
I've never, I know who these people are. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So they basically would they were a big group and they would travel together to different places and do like conventions. And this was when Vine was really big, y'all.
Oh yeah.
I wrote fanfic about them. That's funny. One Direction fanfic, of course, as one does. Yeah, I think that's all the fanfic I wrote. No Book of Mormon fanfic.
You wrote real fan fiction. I mentally deranged fan fiction. And it was funny because I had a friend at the time who was also writing Book of Mormon fan fiction, and we would send each other our fan fictions back and forth. And I remember one, I can't even remember exactly what I wrote, but I got a text back saying, no. And I went, oh, okay.
Was it a sex scene?
I honestly do not remember. But I remember sitting in my dad's apartment, opening up my phone, and all it said was no. And I went, oh, okay. But
good friend.
yeah, honestly. But something I just remembered is, this is so silly. When I first started, so the website that I used to write on, I didn't post any of my fan fiction there, but the website that I used to write on mostly was called Miss Literati.
Oh.
Yeah. I always thought it was classier than Wattpad. I genuinely now don't think that, but at the time I thought it was. And I'm a nerd. So of course I somehow found someone on on Miss Literati, who lived in Ireland. And I was like, oh, hey, cool. And they were writing all of these stories about living in Ireland and being an Irish girl. And they were in love with Buddy Holly, which was hilarious. And all these fan fictions would be about this Irish girl who got to date Buddy Holly, was sent back in time to the 1950s and got to date Buddy Holly. And I remember I read everything just because I was like, it's an Irish person and old music, the two things I love. And I would comment on their pieces being like, oh, this is so nice, or I'm so happy I'm following this, or whatever. And we became friends. And they would read my stuff, which was never my stuff at the time. I was writing a book about
Book of Mormon fanfic.
No, I was not posting the Book of Mormon fanfic online. But I was writing a book about a girl who got picked up from her middle school to go perform on Broadway. And then I was also writing a piece about trigger warning, about a suicidal depressed man at the same time. She has the range. Anyway,
yin and yang.
Yeah. But this person was also reading my stuff, and we ended up becoming email buddies and would email back and forth. And one day when we were emailing, she says, I have to tell you something, but you got to keep it a secret. And I was like, of course. Who am I going to talk to? I have no friends. And she said, I'm not actually from Ireland. I'm from the US. And I went, oh. And then she stopped emailing me. And I never heard from her again. So Kate, I hope you're doing well.
Remember how we were writing? What are we going to talk about? Talking about writing. This is what we've gotten to.
Yeah, and honestly, this is everything I could have wished for and more.
Talking about fanfic. Yeah. I wrote fanfic not on Wattpad either. I just didn't like the layout of Wattpad at the time. I used a website called Quotev.
Oh, okay.
And I used a fake name.
Good.
No photo.
Good.
Because I continued writing fanfic and I moved into writing books. just about anything and everything as I went into high school. And I didn't want anyone from my high school finding out that I wrote fanfic or anything online because
people are mean.
People already didn't like me.
Yeah.
I had no friends going into high school and I had no friends leaving. It all came full circle.
Yeah. I did eventually transition to Wattpad. I have to admit, before we
Ooh.
go any further, I did eventually transition to Wattpad. That was an error. I shouldn't have done that. Wattpad is such a strange place. Like what I liked, I think, about Miss Literati, shout out to Miss Literati. I don't even know that site exists anymore, but what I liked about that was that it was a smaller community, so you could actually like talk to people and like get proper feedback. But Wattpad was so much of just like a 12-year-olds writing about having relations with One Direction that like when I tried to write actual fiction, people were like, what is this, you know? It's very, very strange. But what's interesting now is that there are production companies who have deals with Wattpad to create shows based off of Wattpad content. And I'm like, I shouldn't have quit Wattpad.
See, my thing with that is that I don't know if I want to post any of my scripts on Wattpad because I don't want people taking my shit. Because you don't have copyright if you post it on Wattpad because it's such a public domain.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't buy any copyright to your piece. So, like, if somebody takes it and says it's theirs and they have the money to buy the copyright, you are screwed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You can't fight that. So I know I was on live a couple nights ago on TikTok and I was writing while I was on live. And people were like, oh, you should post your script on Wattpad so we can read it. And I had to explain to them, no. I'll let you guys know when there's going to be like a public reading of it, but like I'm not posting my work anywhere. Because if it's on like, if it's through the Flare and we're reading it, people can see that I'm there and I can be like, yes, I wrote this. It's dated, it's everything. And then there's proof that it is my work.
Yeah.
But if I just post it online, people can just take it and do whatever with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can trace IP addresses, but things are trickier when it comes to internet.
Yeah. What are you planning next with your writing?
That's a good cue. I am currently focusing mostly on The Good Guys because we are planning to do a production of it, a live production of it next April. So I am working on that with my co-writer, Finn. He's
Shout
not
out to
listening to this, but
Finn.
he's not listening. But hi, Finn. Hi, how are you?
This episode is sponsored by Finn Cuthbert. It's not. This episode is sponsored by the Flare. Give the Flare money,
please. So I'm focusing on that. I've sort of had to put everything else on the back burner while I finished the edits for that and worked on the cabaret. But now that I'm just waiting on some music from Finn, once I get the music, I can move forward with putting together a reading of this version of the script and then getting together a creative team. But until I get all the music, I don't want to do that. So in the meantime, I don't really know what I want to work on. I had an idea to create a piece about sexuality that I still want to explore. And I had an idea the other day to create a piece about all the different things from other people that create who we are. But I don't quite know how I want to approach that yet. So I'm kind of in a lot of different stages with different things. Some I'm waiting on, some I'm pausing for, and some I'm still trying to wrap my head around. So I don't really have like a big, massive update for anybody on anything. That's where I am right now. Yeah.
I mean, up next for me is to finish this script, change the name of it because the name no longer makes sense, and schedule a reading for it. Those are my next steps.
Yeah.
What I'd really like to do.
You know what I did forget to mention? I am, a couple of months ago, I spoke to somebody who works in the TV industry.
Oh, I think I remember you telling me.
Hey, I would like to pitch my TV show. And he gave me a bunch of information. So now that I'm sort of pausing and finishing everything else, I'm going to start focusing on developing pitch documents for the Love You Make. The thing is, like, a lot of the Canadian production companies only want to produce things that are about Canada. So I need to find a producer and pitch them first. And then hopefully they can find a company that is interested in more than just pieces about Canada, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And if I don't get to play Hazel Keel, I'm going to cry.
Look, I've been having a lot, this is weird. I've been having a lot of very vivid dreams recently about The Love You Make. And it's always the same people playing. Like, I used to never see actual people's faces playing the characters, but now, like, I see you as Hazel. I see most of the cast that we had as the characters. There are a couple that I still don't quite have faces for, but I guess that's a good sign that I'm like, yes, these are the people, you know, these are them. This is a funny sort of side note. We'd cast our friend Sammy as Val in the readings, and Val's one of my favorite characters, and Sammy loves Val. And then Sammy and I were talking, and Sammy was like, "Look, you don't need to cast me as Val. I want to play the stoned bartender. Find somebody else for Val." So now, whenever I think of the character Walt, I think of Sammy, which is bad. And when I think of Val, I think of nobody. So, like, I'm gonna have to play Val, which, like, is not a problem. I don't have a problem with that because I love her. But it's just so funny that she played the part of Val, and then she said, "If you should just cast me as a stone bartender," and my head immediately went, "Okay." Yeah, very funny.
I just have,
Very funny.
I find so much of myself in Hazel. Like the way I react to some things now, I'm like, Hazel Keel. Like some minor thing will happen that I will get excited about. And I will be bouncing off walls. Mind you, it could be a manic episode. I've been having a lot of quick ups and downs recently, and I don't know why. That's mental health talk. That's what comes along with DID when you as yourself also have borderline personality disorder. So when I get really excited, we could do a whole episode talking about mental health, but a basic rundown of borderline personality disorder, how it was explained to me by my therapist, is that you feel all of your emotions 10 times what a regular neurotypical person would. So when a neurotypical person feels happy, multiply that by 10 and that's how I feel. But same thing with sad. So like when I get excited about something, I'm bouncing off the walls. I'm so excited. And I will be like, we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate. And then I will stop and be like, hello, Hazel. Like, I don't know how many times I've been excited for things and I've literally stopped and out loud went, hi, Hazel.
I love that. I see, so, as a writer, so much of yourself goes into your characters. And I've said this to you and a couple other people, but Hazel is so much of who I was at 16. Like, not down to a T anymore, but like if you ever go back and look at the first scripts, maybe you might get a glimpse of who I was at 16, sort of. I was bad at writing myself, but that's kind of where it was coming from. And sometimes now, even I'll look at like myself and I'll go, oh, there she is. But then there's also sometimes that I'll look at myself and I will go, oh, I see Charlie's coming out today. That's not a good thing. All right, we're gonna move on from that.
My inner Charlie is now here.
Oh no, that's sad. That's not a good thing. You know, it's gonna be a bad day when your inner Charlie comes out. I'm kidding. There are some
Quote
wonderful
that.
parts
No, no, no,
about
no, no,
that.
no. I want somebody to put that as their quote, senior quote. You know it's gonna be a bad day when your inner Charlie comes out. Someone, class of 2022,
Oh my god.
make it happen.
Oh god.
Make it happen. I know one of y'all that follows me is gonna listen to this and hear this. Make it happen. One of you's got to be graduating next year.
I love though when like my Jim or Bonnie come out, because then it's just like, where is this coming from? This is not who I am. Who is this?
The inner Jim and Bonnie season, again, can't really keep this in, but season 2 Jim and Bonnie is us.
Literally us. Yes.
It's literally us. Ooh,
Oh
speaking of which, I do need to text my roommate to pick me up. Booze on her way home from work.
Booze, booze, booze. What else can we talk about?
We got sidetracked a lot this episode.
We did. That happens. It's fine. We still talked about writing.
This is something I would like to say. So this is gonna kind of bring back what happened to you last night, but I think it's important to talk about. So if you are contacting somebody to write something for you, now Aurora had somebody reach out that was like obviously a fake person. They were just trying to like get Aurora to send them money or something. Like that's what it was. But it did spark in my brain. It was like, pay people for their work.
Yeah.
And the time they put into it. If you're asking somebody to push out a script for you, especially in a short period of time, you have to pay them for their work.
The thing is too, this person was willing to pay. The issue is that a lot of people don't realize what goes into that work. So when I, as an artist, tell you that I would charge this much money for a day's work, in this case, I told him $125 for a day's work, which is honestly lowballing, but that's what I said because I knew it wasn't real. So it was lowballing. So when I said that, and he gave me absolutely no information about what he wanted, I literally asked, what medium would you like this in? And he said, I'll worry about that. And I went, the thing is, if you're hiring somebody to create for you, be it a writer, be it an artist, you can't just expect them to turn something out. My job is literally based on creativity. So either I need to be creative or you need to be creative. You can't just say, write something for me. That's not how it works. We're not machines, you know? And a lot of people expect art to just kind of happen. And it doesn't. It takes a long time. And if there's no idea or no spark of an idea, it can't happen. So when you're trying to contact somebody to create something for you, saying just write whatever. No, I can't do that. I physically cannot do that, you know? Long story short, I would love to write something for you, but only for money and only if you know what you're looking for. If you just say, write something for me, no. I'm a human being, not a machine. Thanks.
That's basically all I wanted to talk about, was basically like pay artists for their work.
Exactly. I know, like, I have to say this because I know somebody in like 10 years is going to hear this and be like, Aurora, weren't you not paying your company members? I'm currently not. You are right. We're currently working all volunteer because we physically have no money.
Literally, we have no money.
But everybody who works with us is aware of that and knows that they are volunteering to do work. So there is a little bit of a difference. We are working towards being able to pay everybody. I just wanted to save my ass there in case somebody was like, you hypocrite. Yes, it is a little hypocritical, but one is within my control and one is not. So
I feel like the title of this episode should be writing fanfic.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually thinking of calling it Aurora Wrote Book of Mormon fanfiction because that sounds like clickbait.
That's clickbait right there.
Because it's like, oh, did you write about the musical or the actual book?
The actual, like, Church of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That's what I wrote about. We're going to get sued by the LDS Church. I'm so sorry. I know so much.
You already said that we fucking hate organized religion, so.
I know so much about that religion, though, because of the research I did for those fan fictions. I know so much about that religion. It's bad. Like, I was on that website all the time. It was bad. And then I was honestly always mentally prepared for if a Mormon came and knocked on my door. I was like, hey, Mom, did you know that they can't come into your house, but you can like welcome them in and give them food? So if a Mormon knocks on our door, we have to welcome them in because I want to talk to them. And one time we went to California and I got so upset as we were leaving because I didn't see a celebrity. And as we were going through security, I saw a Mormon and I went, Mom. And she thought I was seeing a celebrity. I was not. I was seeing a Mormon and I was freaking out. I have met many celebrities and a Mormon.
So. And a Mormon. I've seen many celebrities and a Mormon. Rory. 2K21. I almost said 2K20.
Almost.
So close. What am I gonna try this week? Finishing my script.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. And honestly, I should do the same thing. I should finish some stuff.
So we're gonna try. What should the general public try? The general public should try and be creative.
Yes, there's creativity in everything, not just writing. There's creativity in cooking. Cook something different today. Do it. Or redecorate your apartment like I did today. Do something. Be
Anxious
creative.
apartment decorating.
Anxious apartment decorating. That's a fun story for another time.
Anyways,
if you want to ask us questions, you can always leave us a voice memo at the link in our Instagram bio at We're Trying Pod on Instagram. That's what it is. Yes.
I hope so.
I think so. I don't know. And I guess that's everything for today.
Yeah. Check out the description to see our social media links.
I'll also put links to different things that we've talked about, like the Love You Make and the different websites and stuff that we've talked about.
And the Book of Mormon fanfic.
I will link to one of them that I read growing up. How about that? I'll put the link to that in the description. I'll find
I'll read it. I'll
find one of like the really, really bad ones. And when I say bad, I don't mean poorly written. I mean like bad.
Like spicy?
Like spicy bad. Yeah. I remember reading one and texting my friend, and I was like, I read this. I don't know how I feel about it. And she was like, I've never read that kind of fan fiction. Like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever. And she was like, don't read that kind of fan fiction. And I went, okay, watch me. And then I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, even as we're ending, we still bring it back to fanfic.
Fan fiction. Ha 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 ha.
All right, everybody. We will see you. Talk to you
next week.
Goodbye.